Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho. It's our second day of drafting on Underdog in the big board on the live, and hopefully today goes better than yesterday. Let's hit the intro. Let's draft some teams. Let us begin. All right, maybe we hold off just for a little bit on our first smoke session. Maybe just get a few picks under our belt before I get as high as can be. So we're going to hop into the big board. No time to waste. This is a $10 entry. Thankfully, you only have to finish top 3 to advance. So at the moment, especially with the maximum of 150 entries, I think for your money, this has some of the best returns on investment you can find. One of my preferred options to get into at the moment. We might do a little board later, but at least for the first one, we will hop in to a big board. So if you would like to join me, we will hop in about 10-ish seconds. Maybe actually we wait just a little bit longer for some people to trickle in. Maybe if you want to draft with me, let's say 2 minutes. Let's say 1 or 2 minutes. At 5:33, I'll hop in. But looks like Dev is in here. What's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you. If you would like to join me, we'll give it just a minute or two. And in the meantime, maybe we can look at some contracts real quick. Like it's the free agency tracker on Over the Cap is probably some worthwhile information, but probably the position that matters most, either running back or wide receiver. In terms of just money, Debo's a free agent, Evans a free agent, Christian Kirk shockingly gets paid a ton as a free agent. Deami Brown, Tutu Atwell, Marquise Brown, Juwan Jennings going to get a big payday. Najee Harris, DeAndre Hopkins. We can maybe revisit this later, but I'm sure there's a bunch of names that are also buried on this list. So maybe that's more for like its own video, but perhaps we can keep this in mind later on when we're not quite sure if a player is active or not. Instead, let's get back to the big board. We said we'd give it a minute or two. So I will be joining in about 15, 20 seconds on the big board. So 20-second pick clock. There's a minor delay between the broadcast and y'all's end. So if you would like to hit the button right now, I will join in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the location error did not hit. There's 5 spots left. We got some time available if you would like to join in the big board. This is where we are. 4 spots left. If you want to be in this lobby, come and get it. If not, nothing wrong. We just being a spectator and enjoying the show. But Jamie, welcome in as well. Nice to see you. And if you are just hopping in, be sure to hit that like button. If you enjoy this content, if you are ready for a draft, it's early. We don't have our takes fully pinned down yet, but there are some things that are starting to come into focus and understand theoretically a bit more about how this should be going. What are some good picks? What are some bad picks? And what are some strategies I kind of want to avoid? We learned from our mistakes yesterday. We made some bad picks yesterday. Not every single pick, but there were some teams I was not super excited about when it was all said and done. 1 spot left. If you want it, you can still get it, but hopefully it doesn't take too long to fill. There it is. We are full. We will be drafting very shortly. Give us an interesting pick. I feel like I have yet to draft from like the 102. That'd be nice. We get the 101. That's not bad either. I'm good with that. And let's see. Are there any names I recognize? I mean, I recognize Eagles, but I'm sure Eagles just drafts like crazy. I have no idea if he's watching. If you are, let me know. Otherwise, no names that I'm like remembering off the top of my head. If you are in this lobby with me, let me know. Would be happy to find out. But Dev is in here spectating, not drafting with us. Nothing wrong with that. No worries. And we do get the 101. So I'm going to get a Bijan team. That's pretty nice. I will take my Bijan shares happily where I can get them. Not going to panic and overthink this. Let's just take the 1.1 in ADP. Like, there's just no question about it. Bijan is just always going first overall. There's a little bit of trepidation on who's the second overall pick, but not for Bijan, and especially until his ADP starts to trickle. I'm not going to be part of the crowd that passes on him. No need to give anyone a gift. When right now, this is the only way you can draft Bijan. Unless you're at the 101, you're not getting Bijan. So that is an obvious pick, and we'll see how things go. We'll try to notice if there's any odd things that happen throughout this draft. But at the moment, there's really nothing you could do that's like crazy. You know, like it's still so early. This tournament hasn't even been live for like, what has it been? Like 7 days, but pretty much. It dropped last Monday or last Sunday. So like less than 10 days. Who knows what's the right thing to do? Like, don't get locked into the ADP. It's going to be changing very, very quickly. And as we identify more names that should be going sooner, they're going to be moving up the board fast. So if you are inclined on a certain name, now's the time to be the arbiter of the ADP. But maybe you don't want to be that. Maybe you want to leave that player at a low ADP as long as you can get him. And maybe you just want to leave that guy alone and try to get them at a good value. So that's another factor to keep in mind. Because it would be nice if we can highlight some errors in the ADP and they stick around until like June, July, August. Like imagine if there's someone that like we just know is a terrible pick where they're going and they just never fall and there's just a ton of pitfalls. But I feel like on Underdog at least, that's not really something to bet on. Like Underdog has one of the sharpest ADPs for a reason. Everyone's putting in real money. It's legit. I doubt we're going to get too many of those gifts, but they're still there. We got to identify them at this point in time. They will last until we find them. But Who Hame's in here? What's up, bro? Good stream earlier today. That was a fun draft we had. I was in the chat in the lobby for Who Hame's stream. The little board, we were in that one. But good to see you. Jamie also just listening. But so far, running back hasn't been like steamed up too much in this one. Like not devalued too much, but also I've seen a bit of a heavier investment at running back in some previous drafts as well. But Henry off the board with McCaffrey, and then Taylor would love. The JSN team gets Saquon. Not a bad price on Saquon. But it looks like Hampton's starting to go a little bit sooner today than yesterday. Not by a mile, but I have seen Hampton available at like pick 20. In this one, he goes at the turn. I think Hampton can easily move into the top 6. I think it's reasonable. Because I don't think pick 6 is really determined at all. I think you can argue for like anyone at pick 6. The top 5 feels pretty reasonable, but once you get to 6, I don't think it's clear at all. So there's a world where Hampton is really that good. All right, we are about to be on the clock. We have Bijan. And Pickens falls. I will take Pickens, but we're going to let the clock expire. And I'm a little bit worried about what's going to happen at running back with our next pick. Like, on the clock after this turn, we'll be at pick 48. And if you just look at the running back position specifically, that has R.J. Harvey at the 48 overall, and then Quinshon Judkins. So I see a massive drop-off here between the running backs going right now and then the running backs going later. And although I'm missing out on Rashee Rice or Chris Olave, who I think are good picks, even Josh Allen, I'm going to take my preference at running back. I'm going to go Breece Hall with the hope that he gets a really good landing spot. In general, once you leave the Jets, you're going to improve significantly. That's just the trend. Look at Sam Darnold. Even Aaron Rodgers in a hellhole when he was with the Jets. Had decent stats this year, not egregious, definitely better than his Jets numbers, and it really applies to everyone. Look at Quinnen Williams. Immediately made a big difference for the Cowboys, and it's across all positions. Once you get out of the Jets locker room, you are so excited. So Brees, I don't think is going to be willing to re-sign with them. They've kind of wasted some of his career. I think he's done. They're not competitive. I'm sure he wants to win some games. So Brees is going to go somewhere else. I'm hopeful it's the Cowboys. I think that is one of the best landing spots you can find. It's also possible it's like the Jaguars. ETN's a free agent. That'd be a cool, fun landing spot. And then there's also a bunch of other places that are also like eligible as well. Like there's quite some fun opportunities. Speaking of which, let's pull up just running back free agents. So this is ordered from highest salary last year down to least. Let's start at the bottom. That way we can like ignore some names. Like once something stands out, I'll kind of focus on it. But Sean Tucker, one of the lowest paid running backs on the market, he probably wants a little bit extra. But if he's not in Tampa, I don't know how much I believe in him. Keaton Mitchell, I could easily see stay in Baltimore behind Derrick Henry. We got Pacheco as a free agent. I'm sure he's chasing some money. I could see him leave. Kimani Vidal. Chargers probably need him. Chargers really needed him last year. So that's probably going to be a player that stays, but who knows? Tyler Algier, definitely an interesting name with not much money under his belt, so probably looking to change uniforms. And otherwise, if we scroll up, we got Emmanuel Wilson. Sorry, let me make sure I don't forget where my pick is. But we'll see where he goes. There's Chris Rodriguez with the Commanders, so maybe JCM is legit. We also got not too many names that stand out in kind of the middle of the pack in the like 1.1 million range until we hit Brian Robinson Jr. That's probably the most interesting name since our last one we spotlight. But then there's Rachaad White, A.J. Dillon, who cares? Miles Sanders, who cares? Jeremy McNichols, who cares? Madison, pretty washed. Kareem Hunt, way too old. Mostert, way too old. Jerome Ford, perhaps, has a little bit of intrigue, but probably not that much value. Just a name that probably goes unnoticed. And there's Kenny Gainwell, J.K. Dobbins, probably a huge name. And then there's Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall. Those are the huge names. I would assume Kenneth Walker probably stays in Seattle. Breece is going to leave. And then we also have Rico Dowdle leaving the Panthers, Javonte eligible to leave the Cowboys, Travis Etienne eligible to leave the Jaguars, and then Eckler eligible to leave the Commanders, and Najee Harris at the top eligible to leave the Chargers. Huhaim saying Tucker is restricted. He don't have a choice if they want to keep him for nothing. Very legit point. Good to know. So Sean Tucker probably going to step into the Rachaad White role even more. I would have loved Igbuka there. I have yet to draft Igbuka just because when I'm on the other side of the board, I don't pull him up and then I often get sniped. But if somehow I get Travion Henderson here, I am grabbing. Oh, thank you. That is beautiful. Love that. Falls only like 5 picks. That is phenomenal. I also love the price on Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle in the 4th, 5th round, I will take all day. He's going to be moving up. He has been, and I think he will continue. I think you can take him. I mean, what's weird about receiver is like there are some names I'm not really convinced need to be there in the late 3rd, early 4th. And I would assume Tedro McMillan probably falls a little bit. Luther Burden. That's the highest I've seen Burden go. That's too expensive for me. Ladd, I think, is a little too expensive, especially by comparison to QJ. I get it with Ladd here, but I also think it's a little too high. And then this whole tier, everyone we've seen go in the 4th round, I think is all kind of a flip of a coin. Who do you prefer the most? But Waddle is eligible to get like 160 targets this season. Like, if he can stay healthy, that is definitely on the table. Just a massive blow up. So I am happy to click Waddle, even in the late 4th. really, I just wanted to see Henderson in the fifth on my roster. To get Hendo in round 5 is definitely a gift I'm happy to take. But really, we're getting Hendo at the end of the fourth and Waddle at the top of the fifth. Just doing it a little differently. Huhames is on Hampton for sure, but hard to put him over Amon-Ra. I get that. I understand. But I would say Amon-Ra is like pretty confidently my wide receiver 4. And then my running back 3, I think, is really up for grabs. So if you wanted to draft RB3 over wide receiver 4, I think that's fine. But I understand this take. I don't think it's shocking at all. That makes sense. So we go pretty balanced here. One running back, one wide receiver, back to back to back. So we're looking at Bijan, Breece Hall, and Travion Henderson. That's a nice little trio there. Knowing how running back fades quickly. There's also a team that went 5 straight running backs. Barker at the 107. Just we'll see how long he stays on this. Like, is he drafting another one? I would imagine you probably don't take another running back when you start with 5 straight. But bold strategy, Cotton. Let's hope it works out for him. Taylor, Love, Jacobs, Scadaboo, and Judkins. Interesting. Very interesting. Also, kind of notable that Scadaboo is the only running back that goes in round 4. Just a little bit eye-popping. Allen to go at pick 40, I think, is a steal. Allen, I think you can even justify it like where Bowers goes. Like, Allen is not going to be bad. And then what's crazy about quarterback, Huhames pointed this out briefly, and I think it's very legit. With the current cost of quarterback being so much more expensive, like last year we got to like pick 100 and like quarterback 8 was like still on the board. Now you get to pick 100 and you're looking at Brock Purdy, Stafford as QB 13, QB 14. Like, the prices on quarterback have dramatically risen so far in February. And if they are rising for all the middle of the pack quarterbacks, they should be rising at the top as well, because you still have the massive advantage at quarterback. The main reason like why you wouldn't draft quarterback early is because of how cheap every other quarterback is. If that's not the case, if quarterback is just super expensive, like I don't see any reason to be waiting for May and Caleb in the 5th round when you can get Allen and Lamar in the 4th. Like that's a significant bump up. I know May finishes like QB2 and there's still a lot of upside and stuff, but like with the inflated prices across the board, I think you can take Allen or Lamar pretty early. I kind of regret not doing it myself, but we're at pick 72. Metcalf has fallen. I'm not in love with taking Metcalf, in all honesty. Quarterback's weird, so I think I need to take one right here, and I'm going to stack Herbert up with Quentin Johnston. I don't know what I just did to the machine here, but I made it go schizophrenic by queuing up Herbert out of turn. And say what you will about Quentin Johnston, has definitely been the bane of my existence at times. But he's a touchdown maker, man. He scores touchdowns. 2 straight years leading the team in touchdowns with 8 touchdowns yet again. Last year it was 8. This year it was 8. And his targets actually went down, but his catches stayed the same. His yardage actually went up. He was efficient. Had some high spike weeks. A bit of a Mike Williams 2.0. But boom bust is something I'm fine with, especially in best ball. We have a 2-touchdown game with 79 yards. 71 in a touchdown. 89 yards, 98 in a touchdown. A couple duds, but touchdowns still make their way to him. And then a little bit of a fall off. He was getting banged up a little bit mid-season, but then finished strong in his final 2 games and then shit the bed in the playoffs. But if you're telling me I'm getting the receiver that catches the most touchdowns for the Chargers at pick 73, I think that is a better value than Lad McConkey at 38. I'm okay taking Lad somewhere in the fourth. I've taken him a little bit, but I'm never like super happy about it. It's fine. It's not my favorite pick, but it's fine. But Quentin Johnston, 40 picks later, or what is this, 35 picks later, I think is pretty dope. So give me the stack. He goes even later than this. I reached on him a little bit, but I'm at the turn. I have to be reaching on someone pretty much every round. That's just how it goes. But Jamie likes the running back trio. That I definitely think is the best part of this roster for sure. Love the running back trio. That's awesome, especially when Henderson can give us 30 points every now and then. But sup, Pepper Tony, good to see you. Who Hames says, why is there a green log in the middle of the screen? I'm not sure either. This person just likes to eat spinach, I guess. A massive amount of spinach in this person's diet. So the logs just come out green. But thank you for smashing the button, Shanzo Gonzo. Best fall. Yes. Big old green log. It's quite eye-popping. But Shanzo Gonzo says, I'm having trouble negotiating the quarterback streets in these drafts. They just don't fall. Yeah, we're not getting the values at the moment. I think it's just fine to take your guy. And, like, that's where Ryan 5594, who got Allen at pick 40, got like probably one of the steals of this draft, considering like this huge run on quarterback that went in round 6. And like because I'm waiting 22 picks between Quentin Johnston and my next spot, there's no way I can afford to not take a quarterback here. I like Jackson Dart. I like Joe Burrow. I like the price on Burrow. I like Jaden Daniels. I think May and Caleb are in the same tier as them. You could argue they should be at the bottom of that tier, so I feel like they're going a little bit pricey. Lamar, weird vibes, but new coach should be okay as long as he's healthy. He's warranted at this price, but did not run as much this year, so a little bit worried about Lamar, just a tiny bit. But similar to Josh Allen, the like supreme upside that they carry 100% justifies at least a 4th round pick, if not a 3rd round pick. So I'm fine with their prices. But Drake May and Caleb, a little bit expensive by comparison. But we're back on the clock. We could go DJ Moore. We can go Jadarian Price. I really wish Addison wasn't such a dumbass and like speed demon, because I would imagine there's probably like another suspension looming for him. But I actually think he's really, really compelling. Rather interested. I was hoping that Arande Gadsden would make it back. He does not. So F it. We're going to go Jadarian Price, and let's give ourselves an excuse to spotlight him from a stats standpoint. Entering the NFL draft as a junior. Love to see that. Scrimmage yards last year, 761 and 13 touchdowns in only 12 games. The year before that, he had similar numbers, but half the touchdowns in a total 16 games. So did take a leap from an efficiency standpoint rather significantly from year 2 to year 3. Well, this is interesting. He qualified as a sophomore in 2023. So perhaps he's a 4th-year junior, but I would assume he was just a first-year sophomore with maybe like some credits academically. So it does not give me his age, at least on this website. So either way, that's not bad. Not much receiving work. I can't say I'm excited to see these receiving stats. 6 catches for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. That sucks. But 11 touchdowns in 12 games. Let's take a look at the game log, if there's anything that pops out to me. A few games where he was kind of an afterthought, like first game of the year, only 6 carries. Down the stretch, only 4 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown against Syracuse. I mean, supremely efficient on some of these touches, but then final game of the year at Stanford, 6 for 15. That sucks, but also had 3 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. So a nose for the end zone. That is good to see, but very limited receiving work and often a few times where he's just not really involved from a touch standpoint. So, how well will that translate? I'm not sure. It's all going to be about landing spot. Let's hope for the best. But especially since I don't know very much and don't have like super locked in takes on the rookies, if I can get them at a value, I'm fine mixing some in. And then, especially when I'm here at the turn and like running back is the position I'm looking for, I'll mix someone like that in just so I can like have the exposure because like they're being drafted, they're gonna be relevant, and like I don't want to completely dismiss them. So ADP of 97, an ADP of 100, we take them at 97. That's fine. Could have gone Denzel Boston. He's still falling, but given my roster, if I was gonna go rookie there, I was a little more inclined for running back. There's also a decent amount of really old running backs that I assumed were going to be like dead in the water and like not really that much of a factor last year on their teams. And they stayed pretty relevant. Like Aaron Jones is one of them. He never fell off, just missed some time, but Mason never took over. Um, James Conner got hurt, obviously, but Christian McCaffrey's like right behind him. Joe Mixon, a year behind him, didn't play at all. Are they coming back? I don't think so. You know, like the ones that got hurt at at a high age probably are not going to come back and be like huge workhorses ever again. So that really leaves some opportunity. And some of those teams already have a replacement on the roster with plans to bring them in, but that's not always the case. But we're kind of in a jam here at quarterback, so I'm not going to get too buried at that position. Just going to take a starter that I think offers some legit upside. We're going to go Sam Darnold with this pick. And then I will pass on Woody Marks here and JCM. Not really in love with them, and we just took Jatarian Price. So, I don't know where he's going to land. I'm hoping that he just stays in Philly, but I do love the upside of Dallas Goedert. We're going to go Dallas Goedert. Very talented player. I need my tight end. And based on the market, which is pretty expensive, like I think Dallas Goedert is one of the last that you can kind of consider in the same tier as guys like Gadsden, Tyler Warren, and like to an extent Tucker Kraft and Laporta. Has that elite touchdown potential. Can drop 20 to 25 points in any given week. Can also disappear like crazy. So justified why he goes later as a free agent. There's some variables involved. Like he could sign with a team that just doesn't use him properly, but odds are he's going to be highly paid, and odds are I think he stays with the Eagles. I would assume that's the most likely outcome. So, especially if that's the reality for him, I think this is a great price at pick 121. I think that's awesome. This is where he went last year, pretty much, maybe a round or so after this in the next like 15 picks from where I took him. And he smashed that value. So let's hope for the best. Maybe it can repeat. If he stays in Philly, I think A.J. Brown might be gone as well. That's some weird vibes lurking there. So if there's a trade by the draft and Goddard signs a month from now, I think this is a smash pick. I would assume he moves up the board considerably if all that happens. But that is a big if. You never know. Free agency is weird. And I'm optimistic, but I'm not going to tell you like... I'm not going to guarantee today that I know exactly what's going to happen with Goddard, but a lot of potential, a lot of value. I like the ADP. Let's take him. I have yet to draft a tight end up to that point. But Huhaim says it's legit that the autofill started with Quentin Jammer, also a Charger. Yo, Quentin Jammer, love to play as him on defense when I'm playing 2004 NFL Game Day on my PlayStation 2. Love to play as the Chargers and Quentin Jammer, a good corner. Chaito PR, I want to see that team that have 4 running backs and 1 QB. I'm intrigued about what team he ends up with. Do you mean the green log with 5 running backs and 1 QB? Yeah, that's going to be very notable. They also took Bo Nix in the 9th. So wide receiver 1 is Ricky Pearsall. Number 2 is Alec Pierce. They also got Denzel Boston, Matthew Golden, and still no tight end. I'm going to be really curious if they take a single running back again in this draft. Like, when you start off that committed, you got to stop at 5, I think. Like, I think taking a sixth is kind of overkill. Even if it's like round 20, I think it might be overkill. But Sean finds a way to get dunked on every draft. You know, we all get kind of junked on. It's pretty rare there isn't a opportunity to get posterized on these drafts. I'm sure there's some weird screenshots of all of us. These bots are very disrespectful. Snipe City these days. I've been sniped a few times. No respect for the stack that you're building. Very disrespectful. We've taken Surratt on the stream, but I think Pat Bryant is also very viable in the same range. And then it feels a little crazy not to have like at least a few swings on Tyreek Hill at this price. But should I take quarterback? We got Herbert, Darnold. Not an obvious stacking option. We take Pat Bryant. I do like Juwan Johnson. I think he's a fair click. But in all honesty, I don't think it's like the end of the world. We just invested in Goddard recently. So, yeah, F it. I'll take Tyreek Hill. I'm going to be mixing him in. He got hurt relatively early. Like, maybe not super early, but, you know, early enough to... It's not that unreasonable to assume he's healthy this year. Good to know. I assume this is in reference to our price conversation. But that makes sense. That's fair. I could see that. Are we convinced that Quinshon Judkins being drafted above Henderson was the right call by the Browns? Like, it's definitely too soon to know for sure, but like after year one, like considering how Ramondre was like staving off Travion all year, was it actually the right move by the Browns to draft Quinshon above Hendo? Like when it happened, I thought it was crazy. I thought Henderson should have been like a first round pick, but I didn't expect Ramondre to ever really challenge him that much, and I was dead wrong about that. Jason Calhoun, welcome in, River Rat. Good to see you, bro. Good luck all season to everyone. Uhames does not hate it. I believe this is in reference to the log. It could be worse. You know, it's not atrocious, but like, if you're telling me this team has Garrett Wilson instead of Scadaboo, I think I probably like it a bit more. Or even like Amon-Ra instead of Taylor, I still think it'd be fucking awesome. You know? But it's not atrociously bad. Yeah, I think this is more reasonable. I think 4 running backs in the first 5 is actually not bad at all. Just because of how much green is at the top of the board. Like, just from a color standpoint, like, yeah, there's way more green in the first 5 rounds than there is orange. So you should probably get on that before it dries up. And at least, especially like early on when like everyone's making mistakes, it's worth trying, you know, like just to see what you can like get away with. It's worth trying. So I respect the player here. I respect the strategy. I believe I had something similar in a draft yesterday where we took, I think it was Lamb round 1, and then we took like 4 running backs and like 2 quarterbacks in the next like 6 rounds. I think we had something kind of similar, but we started with an anchor receiver at least. It wasn't that terrible. And then we ended up with like Stephon Diggs as our wide receiver 2. I didn't hate it, but maybe you just got to rip the cord and just go with no anchor receiver at all. Yeah, they were pretty close when it like got down to it. Understandable how some people could have one over the other, but very close together. Um, all right. We could justify AJ Barner, but to be honest, I think Travis Kelsey's going too late. Like Kelsey, I think will play. Had 155 points last year. Meanwhile, AJ Barner had 121 on the back of 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns actually, and Elijah Arroyo got hurt as a rookie. I think Travis Kelsey is a little bit more exciting personally. Um, actually, fuck. Nah. What? Oh shit! I fucked up there. All right. Well, I guess I'm done at tight end then. Whatever. We at least we got the stack. It's not egregious, but at the last second, I realized I wanted to stack up Trey Harris with Herbert, and we fucked up on the queue. Um, didn't remember that Barner was at the top of the queue. It happens. These 20-second pick clocks are kind of fucking with me. Like to not have my takes like firmly in place and be like rushing to make the click. It's just inevitable. There's going to be some decisions that I'm not like super proud of. And going double tight end there, it's not the end of the world, but I could definitely get a better value on my tight end 3 that still contributes like similarly. So it is what it is. We could have gone DK there. I would have been fine with Trey Harris for the stack. We have Pat Bryant, so I did not want Troy Franklin at least. He was at the top of ADP, so I'm glad I didn't get Troy Franklin on top of Pat Bryant. But I think AD Mitchell is at least a little interesting here. I'm not sure if it's like the correct pick, but I wouldn't say it's gross. Um, it's fine, but we really have no clue what the quarterback situation is going to be. And then obviously, as long as Garrett Wilson's healthy, like AD Mitchell's kind of like an afterthought on the depth chart. So, not my favorite click, but I understand why he's on the radar at this price. But I like Tesla. He just goes at the turn over there to an unstacked team, but still, I think he's a good pick. Had a nose for the end zone, and I could see him emerge a little bit. I feel like Jamison Williams is a little bit on uh, not quite solid ground. I think JMO is actually like really fighting for his job this year because there's just been too many moments of like, really, JMO? Really? Just like not mature enough. And there's instances where he really disappears from the offense. His skill set is not something you can replace. So he's critical to them. But then I also feel like if they can find a way to move off of him, they will. So this year I think is really like a prove it ground for JMO. And if he does not deliver, then Isaac Tesla is sliding in very easily to that role. He had some really good chemistry with Jared Goff. There were some rookie mistakes, some instances where Tesla left a lot of meat on the bone, but there were also some instances where he looked really, really electric. And I'm grateful for this. We at least get Torrey Horton to circle back. We do have Darnold, so that's definitely a stack I would like to have. And then we're done at tight end now. But quarterback, I have no reason to be drafting Shador. We go Torrey Horton. Running back is fucking gross. Holy shit. No thank you on Mixon. God, that's gross. That is terrible. Jacoby Lane a little interesting. I also like Kyle Williams a little bit. Darnell Mooney. I'm gonna go Kyle Williams. Drafted in the 3rd round. We had really high hopes for him last year. And who knows? Like maybe Kayshon Boutte is not going to have that role unlocked. Maybe Stephon Diggs moves off the team. Doubt it, but it's possible. But if it does happen, I feel like they could be a team that like acquires AJ Brown via trade. So that would also really derail Kyle Williams. But I could see Mac Hollins move on. I could just see a year 2 breakout. I like drafting these year 2 players a little bit more than some of the rookies because the rookies are getting a lot of hype, But like even if we love their talent, they could just get such a bad landing spot that it's just so irrelevant. And like, we could be drafting. Remember 2 years ago when AD Mitchell was like going around pick like 120 and then he got drafted by the Colts and like fell dramatically, but like in the days before the draft, he was sometimes being like steamed up to like pick 60, pick 70 just because everyone was convinced he was going to be a Buffalo Bill. Like every mock draft had him going to the Buffalo Bills and like we were all dead wrong. And then we start drafting Keon Coleman there and Keon Coleman is just dog shit. Keon Coleman goes at pick 201. Like I am very weary of like falling in love with a certain ADP on any particular player that's a rookie, especially a wide receiver. Things are just so volatile at wide receiver, and even if they go in round one, like that's a position that is a bust far more than like any other position that's drafted early. Like the hit rate on offensive tackle in round one is just like what is it like 80%? At wide receiver, it's like barely 50%. Like obviously that means nothing for fantasy. You can't draft any O lineman in best ball, but like it's just not indicative of success. Like Puka was a fifth rounder. You know what I mean? But then there's also Igbuka who goes to an extremely crowded situation, top 20, and fucking kills it. But that's just more of a Ohio State probably guarantee than anything else. It's weird. That's where if you trust the like university they play for and like everything kind of points in the right direction, I'm fine with it. Like Tate, who cares? Let's take him there. That's fine. Whatever. But some of these names I am very terrified to really invest in at a high clip. Their measurables at the combine and the pro day are also going to be very important, but landing spot, landing spot, landing spot. What's the saying? Location, location, location. That's what I care most about. Location, location, location. Okay, Jacoby Lane does possibly fall back to us. Darnell Mooney off the board to big ol' kitties. Big ol' kitties. That's funny. Um, fuck it. He circles back. I mean, ADP 188, and I'm getting it 216. Like this is when okay, fine. We're not tied to ADP. We pass on him with our last one, but now we get a good price. So yeah, I'll take Jacoby Lane here as our ninth receiver. I kind of feel like I need it. And then running back is definitely the pick for this next one. I could see Najee Harris be relevant, but it doesn't feel like a safe click. I fell hard for Ray Davis last year, but kind of spiteful about it. I could see Devin Neal have some value. Yeah, I'm gonna go Devin Neal because are they really drafting someone high? I don't know. These Saints also have like terrible cap space. Like Saints have been in cap space hell forever. They're 6 million in the red right now. Um, Effective cap space negative 13.6. My Chargers have 88 million in cap space. That's exciting. Titans number 1, Raiders number 2, Chargers number 3, Jets number 4, Commanders number 6. Man, Chargers with almost 90 million to spend. That's fucking dope. But we go Devin Neal, and then let's just take a quick look at the Saints step chart. Contracts, running back. Kamara still under contract. Kendry Miller, higher paid, but can never stay healthy. I'm not a huge believer at this point. I'd rather bet on year 2 Devin Neal than, what is it, year 4 Kendry Miller at this point? And then we got Audric Estime also there, Evan Hull as well. Is Kamara a free agent? Not until next year. Okay, he's under contract this season. And I'm not super aware of how to read this. Is if they cut him by June 1st, do they save 18 million or are they still in the Oh no, they only save 359. Okay, yeah, there's no point in cutting Kamara. But he does not stay healthy. He goes down often. Okay, we take Devin Neal. It's fine. Did Devin Neal just tear his Achilles? I might have forgotten about that. Rookie running back Devin Neal suffered a season-ending hamstring injury during the Week 15 game against the Carolina Panthers. Okay. What did Kamara do? Because there was a chance Kamara would come back. Saints running back Kamara is dealing with a significant knee and ankle injury. Okay, maybe it's somebody else. Talking about Najee. Right, Najee tore his Achilles. Yeah, and Najee's like older than you would think. Najee is much older than you would think. Like last year, I believe he was 26. And like, or maybe even 27. And it was like getting his second contract. Najee is a bit older. Yeah, he's about to be 28 in March. Coming off an Achilles injury. That's not good. Yeah, I'm going to hold off on Najee until I know where he signs. Because even if he does get a contract, it's not going to be as high of a salary as it was last year. And who knows what team it'll be on. It could be a really bad scenario. So Najee I don't think is like a great pick. It's dirt cheap, it's free, so like whatever. But running back I think just dramatically falls off once you pass like J.K. Dobbins, honestly. Like Dobbins, Connor, Kamara feel like a bit of a cutoff point. I guess Tyjae's interesting, but then it's just a huge, huge gamble. And some of these will hit. Don't want to be a downer on all of them, but yikes. Do you really feel confident? Not sure. And that's where maybe the green log was like the right choice. With their final pick, that team takes a long time to load, but it's coming. Is it frozen? Okay, they go Evan Ingram. That team with the green log goes Taylor, Jordan, Jay Love is always going to trip me up, but Love at running back, Jacobs, Cam Scatterboot, Quinshon Judkins, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Malik Willis at quarterback. And then at receiver, they got Ricky Pearsall, Alec Pierce, Denzel Boston, Matthew Golden, Deebo Samuel, Travis Hunter, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, and Bell. I am about to be on the clock. Do we take a sixth running back? I could see DJ Giddens have a lot of value. Again, we could also get Kendry Miller. But I'm also in a position where I could maybe use a quarterback. We got Herbert and Darnold. I genuinely believe he's going to play. So with the final pick of the draft going undrafted, he's free. I guess he's not undrafted. 226, I guess, is technically drafted. But I will take Aaron Rodgers. I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to play. And especially if he's a Viking, I think it's worth it. Worth a swing. Because anyone I'm taking in round 20 could easily just be a 0. But not everyone has the potential of an Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so here's the full team with the 101. We go Bijan Robinson and George Pickens at the 2-3 turn. We pair up Pickens with Breece Hall. At the 4-5, we go Waddle and Travion Henderson. At the 6, I don't want to get buried at quarterback, so I take Justin Herbert stacked with Quentin Johnston. Then I go DJ Moore at pick 96. I like that value, hoping he even gets traded. I think he could still smash on another team. Then we take Price and Darnold at the 9-10 turn, Goddard and Pat Bryant at the Darnold and Goddard at the 10-11 turn, excuse me. And then Bryant and Tyreek Hill at the 12-13. The Tyreek price has to be worth it. Like, I know there's a lot of risk involved, but like the upside is just so high. If it does work out, I think it's worth it. Round 13, Tyreek Hill in a 12-team league. Yeah, I think so. Then we got Kelsey and AJ Barner. I don't hate it, but that wasn't the plan. At least we got a stack going, so it's fine. And then Torrey Horton along with Kyle Williams and Jacoby Lane at a discount. Devin Neal for a swing for the fence. And then Aaron Rodgers, yet another swing for the fence. I am the Cobra says Rodgers is going to use being Mr. Irrelevant as motivation for this year. I am very interested to see what the Vikings are going to do. The Vikings, I think, are the only saving grace for Rodgers' fantasy value. I'm kind of convinced that they brought in Mike McCarthy as a big deterrent for Rodgers to come back, because Rodgers kind of drove McCarthy out of town in Green Bay back when that whole situation was going on. So while there is the level of familiarity, I think there's a bit more animosity between the two. And I think the Steelers were willing to trust Mike Tomlin committing to Rodgers, but I think by bringing in Mike McCarthy, they're trying to rebuild, they're trying to move on. And if Rodgers is hell-bent on staying, at least they have someone that's familiar with him. It's not going to be an odd fit. But if anything, I think it's more so like, this is probably not a coach that you want to play for, given you passed on it earlier on in your career. So I'm more of the mindset Rodgers is either retiring or going to the Vikings. And I think the firing of the Vikings GM, Odafe Mensah, is a combination of three things. Obviously, letting Darnold walk and seeing Darnold in the Super Bowl is a huge indictment on the GM's decision-making. On top of that, they bet on JJ McCarthy, who looks like shit, who can't really live up to the hype, not quite ready to play, and they had to really baby throughout the year and putting Carson Wentz with like no rotator cuff just to spare McCarthy. So all of that is terrible. But then the cherry on top is that there's reports that Rodgers wanted to go to the Vikings. He was waiting for them. If he didn't go to the Rams to replace Stafford, he wanted to go to the Vikings. He was actually okay with the Brett Favre 2.0 coming to fruition. But for whatever reason, the Vikings said no. They didn't want to even entertain that. And reportedly, Kevin O'Connell kind of felt a little bit marginalized by the team. Like, apparently O'Connell was kind of recruiting Rodgers a little bit. From what I've read, there was mutual interest between Rodgers and KOC. But from the ownership and the GM standpoint, they did not allow that to happen. Rodgers did not go to Minnesota. He went to the Steelers. We know what happened with McCarthy. So with the GM leaving, all of that quarterback situation could be a big reason why. And that's where I think Rodgers, if he has one more shot in him, it has to be with Minnesota. We know for a fact it's not going to work with the Steelers. So why would he run it back? You can't win a Super Bowl. You know for a fact that's just not going to happen. And with McCarthy, that's not going to be better than what it was with Tomlin. So I could definitely get a 0 with Rodgers here, but if he goes to the Vikings, man, he could be top 12. He really could. Like, those weapons, he looked solid. Like, he didn't have legit down the field options, but if you give him Jefferson, if you give him Addison and TJ Hawkinson, even Jalen Naylor in there, Rodgers would be very effective if he can just get one season. A swan song with the Vikings is all I'm hoping for. So I've been hammering Rodgers in these later rounds, especially with the final pick. I'll take him. We only have Herbert and Darnold, so it's justified on this team. But decent roster. I love our running back trio to start. And then our tight end position gets a little odd, but I think it's fine. And then quarterback isn't anything to brag about, but it's not bad either. I think quarterback is good. We also might be getting the steal of the draft with Rodgers, hopefully. So way too early to know, but took a swing on a couple rookies. Let's hope that pans out. But at the very least, it was a decent team. BKG says, why does Underdog try to predict our scores after the draft? Oh, you mean like the projection? I think that's what you mean. Yeah, there's a projection for every player that doesn't mean anything. So that's all it means, but I wouldn't worry about it. Like, it's projecting me for 3,200 points. Means nothing to me. Like, I could drop 3,500. I could drop 2,200. It could be anywhere. I'm probably not dropping 35. That's probably pretty hard to hit, but yeah, Who Hames is a very good point. Just draft a shit ton of quarterbacks and you will lead the projection race. And I'm happy to be at the dead last on the projection. The projections never mean anything. It's an optimistic projection. Sometimes they're right, but like it's more so luck to be dead right on a projection than to be like somewhat in the ballpark. Anyways, we finished with a 3-5-9-3 build. Not bad, but I would have liked a 6th running back. Maybe I went a little overboard with a 9th receiver, perhaps. But let's do one more. I think we're going to hop into a little board and then say goodbye. We'll do a little board. But first, I'm going to hit the pipe. If you have anything to smoke with me, if you want to, I'm going to hit the drop, and we'll be back in just a second. Based on how the last one went yesterday, perhaps the smoking is not helping me, and let's smoke when we're only going to invest $3, not 10. But a reminder on this one, it actually is tougher to advance. Only the top 2 will make the final, but the payout, in terms of your buy-in, has the potential to have a higher multiplier. If you do take first place, you get 100K. And even if you just like make the final has a decent payout. The final has 315 people, and that's an automatic 250 off $3. That's not bad. But if you do enter like the top 100, you're already up to $500. If you're in the top 50, you get $1,000. That's kind of cool. Like, it's a pretty flat payout structure. And then if you somehow finish top 10, you're already up to 5,000. Top 5 is 10K. And then first we mentioned is 100,000. So I would love to finish top 50 in this tournament. If you tell me I can turn $3 into 1,000, I would be ecstatic. And that's what we're going to be hopping into in just a moment. So if you would like to sync it up with me and hop into this draft, we're entering the little board for $3. I'm on a 6 or 7 second delay. So if you want to join, hit the button right now. Right now is when you should click it, and I will join in 4, 3, 2, 1. Let us go. It should be in sync. 2 more spots, and it's full. Hope you got in. Should have been a good timing, especially considering there were like 4 spots in right when I got in. So recognize a few people. When I was drafting in Who Hames Pod earlier, I did notice Legio. This person has never announced themselves in the chat, but I have drafted many times with Stage 9. Stage 9 Klinger is a name I recognize, and I am convinced he does know when to join, but it's also possible he just drafts at a high volume, and I'm just wrong, but there's just been so many times I've been in pods with Stage 9 on the draft. I assume this person watches. But Kevin Green's in here. Green Bean. And Dirty P. All right. We got some names I recognize. If I did not recognize, if you're in here, let me know. We got Shanzo Gonzo there. Dirty P at the 12. Doc is in the 5 there. Yeah. Doc 79, welcome in. Going to try and remember to draft some quarterbacks this run. Yeah, honestly, I think if you get Josh Allen there at the 312, at the 3-4 turn, you should take him. I say that 2 picks above you at 34. So I wouldn't bet on it happening, but I do think if you want to, if you felt like you've been missing out on quarterback a little bit and you want to try the opposite, then I recommend just grabbing Josh Allen and then just like being content if you get stuck with like Mac Jones as your second quarterback. Like you can literally punt quarterback when you have Josh Allen. At least the QB2, not the QB1. But BKJ 2024. This year has a lot of running back uncertainty. Hopefully I'm on the correct side of evaluation. I hope so too, man. I hope I am. But Legion, what's good? I'm at the one spot. Yeah, I recognized you, bro. Good to see you. Welcome in. Paul Southworth. Ooh, my favorite pick in this section of the draft is James Cook. 2 straight years with over 250 points, and then even in 2023, he had over 200 points as well. Like, last year, James Cook had how many touchdowns? 14, and then the year before, he had 18. And then he also had 1,900 yards from scrimmage, 300 touches. Like, the adjustment from head coach to just pull up Joe Brady, I'm even more confident in James Cook. I think James Cook is arguably the RB3. Like, just such a safe team to bet on. No real competition. Like, I was hopeful about Ray Davis last year, and that was so dead wrong. Ty Johnson is a little bit more involved. I haven't taken Jefferson yet, but I've also not enjoyed getting boxed out at running back early. So I'm going to go Omarion Hampton. And this is a start I've done many times off the stream, and I fucking love it. I love every draft that I start off with James Cook and Hampton. I genuinely feel like I have I have 2 top 5 running backs on my team. Legitimately. I'd rather have Hampton than Achane. I'm going to just buy into Mike McDaniel, and I'd rather chase the Mike McDaniel running back than just be convinced that Achane is not going to fall off at all with the change in OC. Hampton's also going to have healthier offensive linemen and Mike McDaniel, and Hampton is also capable of receiving like 8 catches in a game. Hampton slots into the Achane role so well. I'm not familiar with Huckleberry, I'll be honest. If I am, I'm drawing a blank. When Cook has a good game, it is elite. Cook can drop 3 touchdowns and 200 yards. Cook is one of the safest picks in the first round, in my opinion. I really think he's bust proof. Like, injury is the only way I see Cook not panning out, because that Bills offense is lacking playmakers. Like, say what you want about Dalton Kincaid, but they don't have a receiver. They're going to have to draft one, or maybe they like sign Mike Evans or something. But what's their cap space? The Bills are in the negative in cap space. The Bills are going to have to do some maneuvering. So that offense is not going to change very much other than draft picks. And even if it does, James Cook signed a big contract last year. There's no more holdout. He gets paid a lot. Like, he's not going anywhere. And Joe Brady is the reason why he's been so good. So the commitment to Joe Brady, I think, is just a locked in, bust-proof selection with James Cook. I honestly kind of want to draft James Cook above Christian McCaffrey, above Jonathan Taylor, even above CeeDee Lamb. I'm fine taking Amon-Ra above him. I think that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. But I am never going to be pissed to draft James Cook. I think it is really a safe pick. Sean also agrees. I'm also hopeful that Pete Carmichael may dial him up more in the passing game. Is that their new like official OC as like Brady's the head coach? I gotta Google this. Pete Carmichael Bills. Yes, 3 days ago. Right. Okay, we're on the clock and we just missed out on Brees Hall. So I could triple up and go Kyron, but we're at pick 34. T. Higgins has fallen to us, and T. Higgins has like top five upside. So I think I might go T. Higgins. I like A.J. Brown as well, but there's some uncertainty on his status. And if you tell me he stays with the Eagles, I actually like him less. I really want A.J. Brown to leave. I could have definitely taken him there, but I'll take T. Higgins with a little ADP discount. That's fine with me. Late round 3 T. Higgins, that's perfectly fine. As long as Burrow's healthy, T. Higgins I think is worth that price. Real fantasy football talk. They keep talking about the Chargers bringing in a running back. I mean, I haven't really heard that, but I suppose it's possible. But I'm not worried about it. I really think the first round investment with time to get healthy and the tackles getting healthy and Mike McDaniel, like everything is pointing that Hampton will be really, really effective. I'm a believer, but until it happens, I just don't think I'm gonna change my tune. But it's possible. I wouldn't be like totally. They got the money to spend, so for sure possible. But we haven't really seen a second running back be super relevant in the Mike McDaniel system. Actually, maybe take that back. That year with Mostert and Achane, when Achane was a rookie, wasn't egregious. But Achane mostly just got hurt so much. That's why he wasn't super effective. But Pepper Tony counterpoint is Achane, 20 points per game. Solid counterpoint. But I'm not saying he's like terrible. I just think I'd rather have Hampton above him. That's all. The nuance. Oh, sweet. We get AJ Brown to circle back. Oh, hell yeah. This is nice. T. Higgins and AJ Brown. Let's go. Let's fucking go. I'm so glad I took Hampton there instead of Jefferson. Phenomenal. Wow. Full two round discount on what AJ Brown's price was last year. Last year AJ Brown was going at like 15, 16. To get him at 39 feels like a blessing. BKGJ, if I could know the answer right now to one question, I'd choose to know which three between Irving, Judkins, Gainwell, or Scatabo, Tootin Manungai. Which three between Irving, Judkins, and Gainwell or Scatabo, Tootin Manungai? We need only 3 of these 6. I think I'm going to leave Manungai alone. I think I'm going to leave... As of today, I think I'll leave... Oh, as a group. Okay, which group you prefer? I think I'd rather have Irving, Judkins, and Gainwell. I think the year 2 breakout on Judkins could be even higher. Could also fall off, though, with no Stefanski. Judkins is a big variable, but in terms of talent, I would say not only is he a little more talented, but also more likely to stay healthy than Scattaboo. And then Bucky, I think, is in a better situation than Tootin by far. And then Gainwell, more likely to be like an RB1 than Manungai is in short time, but I could see still like a big role for both. I would go with the Irving, Judkins, Gainwell combo there. I think I prefer that. At least the ADP would agree with me that those are definitely 3 players going higher by comparison. And I think I would side on that. The Irving, Judkins, Gainwell side is my preference. But I know who I want. I'm not going to say, but if he does make it to me, I'll be ecstatic to click the button on this player. I know who I would like to see at pick 58. But It's not the end of the world if we get sniped. Judkins goes. What does the Brees Hall team do? I assume I'm getting sniped. That's a pretty. Oh, really? Let's go. DeAndre Swift for sure. Love it. I thought the team with only one running back would take DeAndre Swift, but I'm super happy with that. Swift has such a good offensive line and such a good situation. I'm a little worried they could draft someone, but given the success of Monangai and his really cheap contract, I think they'll just run it back with Swift in the final year of his deal um, with Monangai. Like, Swift is still under contract, a free agent next year, and he's only 26 years old. Wow, Swift is younger than Najee by 2 years. That's crazy. Am I on the clock? Almost. Okay. Let's focus. Um Tyson goes. So we're just gonna grab Joe Burrow, lock up the stack with T. Higgins. Yo, this team feels good. I'm liking this team through 6 rounds a lot. We have James Cook, Omarion Hampton, DeAndre Swift at the running back position. And then at receiver, we got a good value on T. Higgins and then an even better value on A.J. Brown. Two receivers I think are like firmly solid 3rd round picks. I'd much rather have both T. Higgins and A.J. Brown than Tet McMillan. I'll tell you that right now. Not gonna draft much Tet McMillan if he's going above T. Higgins and A.J. Brown. That I don't quite understand. Like there's some hype on Tet McMillan for sure, but like he was going like anywhere in the 4th round last year, and I don't think we got a good enough year one to feel like the price should be climbing significantly when as a whole the wide receiver position is getting much more depreciated in value. This price on Tet scares the shit out of me. I don't get it. But definitely talented. Definitely talented. BK says the second group, 2 out of 3 are playoff teams, and the Giants seem to have an interesting offense developing. They also did just bring in Matt Nagy, though. That's a little concerning. And then Scadaboo is also someone that just like, even if he suffered 3 concussions, like he's trying to get back in the game. You know, like when Scadaboo falls off, he's gonna fall off fast. Like that's my take. Like I don't know if Scadaboo is like built for the long haul. Just his style of play and like recklessness and like head first. uh, I could see it being very risky, where he just comes off the field like too often. Josh Jacobs is interesting. Could be like the RB5 any given week. Could also like be injured by week 4 next season and just like never see the field again. Like his injury concerns I think are a little bit more legit at this point in time, and I've heard some rumors that they're a little bit inclined to move off of him if they can. Trevor Lawrence goes. We need a receiver. I think I'm gonna take. I don't really trust Ricky Pearsall. I don't know what to make of Diggs in the Patriots situation. I'm gonna draft Quentin Johnston. Um, I know, I get it, but you saw me draft Quentin Johnston at 73 earlier. We're getting him at 82. I'm fine with that. His ADP is 86, but I don't care. I'm not going to get him. The Herbert drafter, not going to let me have him. So, sorry, Dirty P. Not not personal, just playing the board and drafting who I want the most. But Ricky Pearsall's still there for you if you want Ricky P. Ripe for the picking. You go Mahomes and Worthy also passing on Ricky P. Sticky Ricky. A first round pick that scares the shit out of me. I don't know what to make of his health situation. He can't stay healthy. They like kind of gave up on him. I'm glad Kevin Green's spared me from drafting him. I was a little hesitant to fully buy in, but I'm gonna go tight end, and I have some hope on Laporta this year. Laporta, we recall, had almost 200 points as a rookie, 10 touchdowns, and then last year got hurt. But I think the addition of Drew Petzing, that's the coordinator that led to McBride being such a stud. And I know it's a different circumstance. I'm not saying that Laporta is just as talented as McBride, but um, it's definitely possible that Laporta gets back to like tight end two, where he was as a rookie, and especially if Petzing is going to have a similar game plan and use the tight end position in that way, I do see a world where Laporta goes nuclear. I could genuinely envision like 13 touchdowns for Laporta if that is indeed how Petzing wants to use him. And at the very least, tight end has also been like really steamed up as well this year, and like Laporta is one of those guys that can drop 20 plus consistently. Like he can give you 3 touchdowns in a game. I also like the Goff price, so if we can get Goff later, we're behind the Amon Ra drafter though, so that's very unlikely. They also have Jamison Williams. They may have been targeting Sam Laporta. I may have sniped Ryan Mura on Sam Laporta. If I had to guess, that's what happened. So I did a double snipe on that term with QJ and Laporta. You got to do what you got to do. Genty and Jacobs could be an epic combo by end of season. You know, one thing that I'm surprised more people don't do just for the sake of like being different is like pulling up a running back that goes around this turn. Like Jacobs is a perfect example. Like Jacobs always goes around, you know, picks 24 through like 28. Like he's always on this side of the board on the left in the top 4 picks. Like just for the sake of being different, grabbing Jacobs there at 13 to pair with Genty, I agree with you, is not like an insane, egregious decision. I think there's a world where it does like really work out. I do prefer the running backs going above him, so I understand like why it doesn't happen, but I don't think it's like insane to do it on occasion. Shanzo committed to not getting shut out at quarterback. You did take Herbert a little early to stack up with Ladd, and then Mahomes also. When you're at the bookend, you should be willing to do whatever you want because you got to wait a long time. Then the difference between Herbert to Mahomes is kind of significant. So if that's the guy you want, I firmly agree. That's what you should have done. And we do not get Goff. Of course, we do not get Goff. Sadly, we do not get Goff. Dowdle is interesting, but I'm in a weird spot at receiver, and I'm going to go Juwan Jennings. I think Juwan is my preferred receiver of this group. I feel pretty convinced he's going to stay in San Francisco, especially with the Ayuk contract being null and void. What is their cap space? The Niners are actually have a decent amount of money. They got 42.9 mil in cap space. And I believe Juwan Jennings will get a sizable contract to stay with the Niners. I believe that'll happen. So I'll grab him here. Not upset about that. I almost took Gadsden, but remembered I have Laporta, so felt egregious to go double tap tight end here. And if I would have taken him, it would have just been as like as a spiteful snipe pick. And I didn't want to do that again. Juwan Jennings, I think, is a good investment. I would have liked to have one of those 3 running backs that just went off the board. I thought I could get one of them to come back around, honestly. So that's kind of a bummer. But instead, I'm going to grab a quarterback before they dry up. Give me Bo Nix. Bo Nix can definitely put up some top 8, top 5 weeks. He was amazing in the fourth quarter, had some major blow-up games last year. And despite the broken ankle, like he has all offseason to recover. He's going to be fine for week 1. So I think this is a good discount on Bo Nix, a running quarterback that is being drafted behind some pocket, you know, QBs that just don't offer that. Bo Nix isn't the most consistent player, but I do think with the cap situation regarding Russell Wilson that's going to be alleviated this year for Denver, they should improve the roster, and their defense is already like great up and down the board on the roster. So I could see the Broncos really adding a nice weapon for Bo Nix and really solidifying his throwing capabilities. We know that Evan Ingram didn't quite pan out, but Bryant really started to emerge. Mims has some downfield threat ability. And then Sutton is not washed yet. But I feel like we could see them add a nice piece. What is their cap space? The Broncos are at 28.8 million in cap space. I would assume most of that is spent on offense. Their defense is in pretty good shape. I don't think they have to go crazy on defense, but I haven't like reviewed their full roster. I'm not quite sure who's like leaving and who's going. Yeah, I agree with this wholeheartedly. I assume there's going to be a new wide receiver in the mix in Denver, but heads up, this will definitely be my last draft of the night. So we're only halfway through, not done just yet. But if you haven't done so already, before you go, if you would like to hit that like button, if you've enjoyed the content, subscribe as well. A free way to support the channel, really appreciate it. Always helps with the algorithm, and an easy way to support the channel. That's all I ask. If you enjoy the content, if you stay past an ad break, that's a good sign. You should like the stream. If you're willing to sit through one of the ads, I try not to make them too frequent. YouTube recommends I have them every 6 minutes. That would be bullshit. If I had an ad for you every six minutes, that would be insane. I have them every 18 minutes, but I've been thinking about changing it to even less frequent. Either way, do me a favor, hit that like button if you're enjoying this stream. We are about to be on the clock. That Ryan team goes Sadiq. I think I'm going to take the price on Goddard here. I like the high end, high upside tight end situation. And then I also really like pairing AJ Brown and Goddard together. Because even if they're both on the same team, even if they're both on the Eagles, they're both worth their ADP. For sure. But then there's a scenario where one of them is not with the Eagles next year, and then both of them fucking skyrocket. Like, ideally, Goddard stays with the Eagles in free agency, and AJ Brown gets traded before the draft. That would be huge. If that happens, we're going to have a team that's like committed to making AJ Brown a top 5 receiver again. So to get him in round 4 is a massive steal. And then Dallas Goedert's going to get even more targets and probably even more touchdowns than he did last season. So that's the beautiful scenario I'm rooting for with this Goddard selection. And I don't think it's insane to anticipate. I really don't. I think the writing's on the wall that A.J. Brown may have overstayed his welcome a little bit in Philly. We are back on the clock. My boy Jaden Higgins here. How many points did he have? 109 last year, 6 touchdowns. A lot of that production was with Davis Mills. I'm going to go J.K. Dobbins. I think Dobbins is one of the best running back picks on the board. Because compared to his peers, we're getting him at RB 40. And I also know that he's going to be fully healthy. I think he's one of the more desirable free agents in this year's running back class. Among the free agent running backs, I think Dobbins has some of the highest upside. And odds are he returns to the Broncos. I think he'll come back. I do like Kenneth Gainwell. I think he has some higher potential as well. But I think Dobbins in a very similar tier to Tyler Algier. I also don't see him that much differently than Rico Dowdle. I think there's a world he's much more valuable than Tony Pollard. If you tell me Pollard stays with the Titans, I'd rather have Dobbins. And then there's always the variables of the rookies that you never know where they'll land. Could be egregiously bad. Manungai is a little bit tricky. Tootin feels super, super risky. Like, I get it. It's worth the upside, but it feels very risky by comparison to someone like Dobbins. So, love Dobbins. Shanzo Gonzo also loves Dobbins. He went with Algier and Gainwell. I don't blame you on those picks either. Those are good picks. I am the Cobra says pause up for Leia. She is. She's taking a nap. I'm not going to disrupt her. She's napping. I've been forgetting about Tyjae Spears or even a backup running back from Tennessee. Guess we need draft for that, though. Is Tyjae a free agent? I don't think so. I think Tyjae has one more season. Tyjae, yes, has one more season under contract, and so does Pollard, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're both under contract for one more year. Hopefully, an off-season injury to Tyjae does not derail him again. But I would assume there's a bit of a changing of the guard set to take place because Tony Pollard's going to be 29 next year. He's 28 right now. Trying to pin the tail on the Chiefs free agent running back. That's fair. I don't know if it's the best landing spot, but that's definitely worth trying to do. I like Jalen McMillan a lot. We took Tyreek Hill in the last one, so let's pivot. I like Jalen McMillan a lot. He would have been more valuable if he didn't break his neck. And then I think with Godwin another year older and the chance that Mike Evans moves on, his rapport with Baker is just so good. They have such good chemistry, especially down the field. McMillan is like Torrey Horton. I view McMillan and Torrey Horton as very similar, like players on their respective teams. And you know I love Torrey Horton, who also goes later. So I like drafting Jalen McMillan. The team so far has Burrow and Bo Nix. We could use a third quarterback, but it's not necessary to like take one too soon. Malik Willis is interesting. I think he will have a job. But then we're at pick 159, and Tyreek Hill is still on the board. I think I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. We passed on him in the last draft. I'm not going to do it again. Would have loved to gotten Pat Bryant there, but he goes at 148. We don't get him. And then Tyreek Hill was top of ADP when we took McMillan, and then he got passed on again. So let's do it. It's worth a swing. The upside is just so high. But I am a little worried that off the injury, his like speed is just not going to be there the same way. And that's really going to be a problem. But to be honest, I really like this team. This team feels really good. Compared to what we were drafting yesterday, I feel really nice about this. We got Joe Burrow stacked up with T. Higgins. We can maybe take another player later. We have Bo Nix probably stacked up with J.K. Dobbins, but Dobbins doesn't catch passes, so that doesn't matter. At running back, we have James Cook, Hampton, Swift, and Dobbins. I like that a lot. That feels very, very nice. And then at receiver, we're kind of loaded with T. Higgins, A.J. Brown, Quentin Johnston, Juwan Jennings, Jalen McMillan, and Tyreek Hill. Tight end is also really nice. Laporte and Goddard. Damn, I like this team a lot. Maybe I am just blowing smoke up my own ass. Maybe I'm just like in my own bubble here. But this feels like one of the more solid, effective, and sharp drafts I've had on the stream. I feel really comfortable with how this roster is shaken out. Like, maybe I could have regretted passing on Jefferson, but the way that we got T. Higgins and A.J. Brown in the third and the fourth, like, no fucking way. I'm so happy I took Hampton there. And then we got a good, decent price on Swift. Some quarterback stacks. I think for the price, Bo Nix is a really good value. And then our tight end room is dope. And I feel confident about our running backs as well. I like this team a lot. But it's not done. We still have like 6 more rounds. So It can be better. This team can definitely be better. Okay. Stage 9 on the clock. Is Mooney a free agent? No. Um, Choosing between Ridley and DK is kind of tough, but I think I'm gonna go Isaac Tesla. I really feel confident in Tesla, and there's DK though. Interesting piece. I'll take DK. I'll do that. I haven't taken him enough yet. I've taken a shit ton of Tesla, and I think we took him in the last one too. So, um, the team with Goff is behind us now. They passed, so there's a chance that Tesla circles back. But I do like Tesla quite a bit. But we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers. Don't want to go overkill on receiver if I don't have to. There are definitely other positions to focus on. But hmm. Do y'all like Ridley? I don't think I like Ridley. Burned me so bad last year, and he's getting older. He's 31, or at least he will be this year. I don't know. Omar Cooper Jr. goes. The quarterback position is gross. I think I'm gonna go JJ McCarthy. In the event that Rodgers does not join the Vikings, then McCarthy is clearly their guy, and McCarthy has enough rushing upside where you can take him and justify it. Let's do it. Let's not take Rodgers on every fucking team. Let's bet against that argument. I don't love this pick. I would say this is like my least favorite pick so far, but we waited for the third quarterback. It's just kind of like the best option possible. Not thinking about later round picks as being as valuable as their first round picks is a big leak for best ball. I think I follow this. I think I follow you. I'm not totally sure I'm on the same track, but um usually later round picks can have just as much impact on like the success of your team. Like they're not going to be the crux of your team, but like they're so critical to hit on a few to have your team be like different and have that, rotating flex spot that has the upside. So, um, cannot dismiss it. But Shanzo Gonzo says, I'm not clicking Ridley. I dare him to beat me. I think I'm in the same boat. I kind of want to see how low his ADP can fall. Like here he goes 185. I feel like he can genuinely fall into like the 210s. Like another couple more rounds and I would definitely take him. But like if you tell me we're in August and he goes undrafted, I'm not going to be shocked at all. Um Not going to be shocked if that's the case. But other than the McCarthy pick, this team feels pretty good. And the McCarthy pick still has upside. So I don't hate it. You want 3 quarterbacks on these drafts. When you can draft for 20 rounds, let's just get someone that's probably a starter. It's fine. It's not amazing, but he runs enough where I'm comfortable with it. But I can also easily envision a world where Rodgers keeps him on the bench the entire season. You can't tell me that Kevin O'Connell is like really excited to go into next season with JJ McCarthy and no one else again. Like if the backup is Jacoby Brissett, that's going to be a big bummer. But who knows what'll happen? Could be Rodgers. If it is, that was a really bad pick, but it's worth a shot. We have 2 tight ends. We can probably get away with not drafting a third, honestly. I think I'm going to wait for the last round to even consider my third tight end. But I do like Gunnar Helm in this range. Colby Parkinson is interesting. Horton does get sniped, but he was falling, so it's not really that big of a snipe. Don't know enough about Zachariah Branch, but there's some weird vibes going on with Jordan Addison. I'm going to take Jalen Naylor, who had a really good rapport down the field with JJ McCarthy. Let's have one stacking option when it comes to the Vikings, and that's going to be my last receiver. Just give me someone that people don't usually take. All of these receivers at this stage is just a big grab bag of like who the fuck knows. And there are names I like more, but we have the stack. I'm going to justify the JJ pick a little bit. And there were some games when Naylor was, nailing her. Just nailing it. A game with 124 yards and a touchdown. A game with 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, it's few and far between, but there's some instances of high upside. It's probably a terrible pick, but let's do it. And then I need some running backs for sure. We're in round 18. So it is what it is. Fuck it. Let's handcuff James Cook. We're extremely dependent on the success of the Bills running back room. I believe Ty Johnson is a free agent. Might be moving on. Ray Davis is a fine pick, and especially if like James Cook carries me to the final, and then all of a sudden in week 16 he goes down, I'm going to be very happy that I have Ray Davis. The correlation of timing when a stud running back that you are hyper relying upon, it's good to have the handcuff in that situation because you have exactly the right player at the right time. I am pro handcuff for the elite stud running backs, especially on a team like Buffalo, because whoever the starting running back for Buffalo is going to crush. So someone like Ray Davis is a bit more justified as a handcuff when you have the starter as, someone like double tapping Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason, I think is less appealing than grabbing James Cook and Ray Davis. You know what I mean? You might get a lot more value out of someone than taking Ray Davis, but the upside of Buffalo is by far going to exceed the upside of the Vikings backfield. But I know I'm not the only one who's pro handcuff, but I know there's a lot of people that are opposite of that stance and do not like to handcuff. But I will be logging off in the next 10 minutes. So after I make these next 2 picks, we'll quickly review some other teams. We got Dirty P in at the 12th spot. I believe we have Kevin Greens right behind me at 11. We had Doc in at the 105, and then we also had Legio at the 101. So we'll review those teams quickly after I make these next 2 picks. And then I'll say goodbye. But almost done with this team. We need another running back for sure. I would like a 6th. I don't think I want an 8th. Is Fant a free agent? He is. Meanwhile, Gesicki is not. Okay. In that case, give me Mike Gesicki. That'll be our 3rd tight end for the stack with Burrow. We have seen Gesicki capable of dropping some big point totals. So I will take Gesicki. And then our final pick is 100% a running back. Heard some hype on Kalen Black, but don't know enough to feel like I'm saying the right thing on him. So I think I'm probably going to pass. But a name I heard, I would like to pass that on. PPR Tyler, a big fan of Mike Washington Jr., hyping him up. Adam Randall as well. But where will they land? That's very important. So instead, I'm just going to go Jordan James. I know exactly where he is, and I believe he's the most valuable handcuff to Christian McCaffrey. I'd rather have Jordan James than Garendo, and it's a bit of a shocker that the Niners handcuff running back is going in the final round. That feels a little bit insane to me, given the context of how it's gone in years past. Like, if we know Jordan James is the man, watch him go up to like where JCM is being drafted, like round 11, round 12, something like that. But I guess at the moment, the the public is just assuming it's Brian Robinson Jr. Like, that's the only name tied to the Niners that is higher up. They could draft someone like they often do, but I think Jordan James is going to be given a shot. So I'll take Jordan James. Not huge on Garendo anymore. I believe it's Jordan James. So the final roster is James Cook, Omarion Hampton, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Ray Davis, and Jordan James. I like it. I like it a lot. At quarterback, we have Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, and J.J. McCarthy. We'll see about the Vikings quarterback situation, but I'm drafting Rodgers and McCarthy on occasion, just putting multiple eggs in different baskets. I want the Vikings quarterback. I'll put it that way, but I'm not sure at this point in time who it'll be. Our receiver room is pretty dope. I love the T. Higgins, A.J. Brown combo. That felt like a gift. Then we took Quentin Johnston. I like him. I know some people don't. But then Juwan Jennings, I think, is one of the most valuable ADP wide receivers on the board. I like him a lot. I like Jalen McMillan a ton. Tyreek Hill worth a swing, but could be a zero. Probably not a zero, but could burn me. And then Chimera DK, not going to be a zero, but not going to be like elite, but interesting for sure. Probably a good value over Ridley. And then Naylor, just to kind of justify the McCarthy pick. But if anything, this McCarthy-Naylor selection in round 16 and 17 was probably the two worst clicks I had in this draft. We finished up with Ray Davis, Mike Gesicki, and Jordan James. But then our other two tight ends are Laporta and Goddard. So some really high upside on this team. I like it a lot. Really no regrets, but maybe the McCarthy and Naylor decision is not very good. I could see that being terrible in hindsight. So not a perfect draft, but probably the best one I've done on stream, in my opinion. But Shanzo says, good call out on Jordan James. Had forgotten about him. Def out on Garendo. Yeah, I think he's being slept on a little bit. And running back just dries up so fast. It's a bit shocking to me that the Niners handcuff is not going higher than like Jonathan Brooks. You know what I mean? Like, Jonathan Brooks might be the third option for the Panthers. I'd rather have the handcuff to McCaffrey than Jonathan Brooks. So huge oversight on Jordan James, if you ask me. Going to be a quick riser once everyone figures it out. But let's take a look at some other teams. We have Dirty P in here at the 12 with Genty, London, Ladd, and Garrett Wilson. Not bad at all. Ramondre, Justin Herbert, and Mahomes did not get stuck without a quarterback. Got the stack with Worthy and Gadsden, Algier, Kenny Gainwell, Kamani Vidal. Not bad at all. Also has Kayshon Boutte. Travis Kelce, I also believe will play, and I think he's a great pick where he's going. I like that value a lot. I would have probably taken him if you passed, but I got Tyreek Hill instead. You also have Trey Harris stacked up, so a pretty heavy Herbert stack. I like that a lot. Trey Harris should emerge. Brian Robinson Jr., interesting, but not really convinced he's going to be a starter, so definitely just a backup with a lot of variables there. Mason Taylor, I'm not in love with, but going to get more snaps next year, so I think it's fine. Brashard Smith, I'm out on. I'm not interested in Brashard Smith personally. But then Kyle Williams, I like a lot, and then Jalen Royals, who knows? But odds are that's not going to hit too often. But it could. You never know. I think I might be more inclined to go like Tyquan Thornton than Jalen Royals if I'm looking for a final round Mahomes stack. But I think he's also a free agent. Could go somewhere else as well. We had Kevin Greens in here with Lamar and Brissett and Ty Simpson. Good luck on Simpson. Then we have Achan, Kyron, Coleman, Dowdle, Mixon, and Najee. Some really risky plays there with Mixon and Najee. I think the running back depth is a little bit thin here for my taste. But with two studs, I guess it's okay. But I think you may have gone a little overboard at tight end there. You got McBride and Kraft and Stowers. I think you could get away with just McBride and Stowers. And then if you took like a running back instead of Kraft, this team might be a little bit safer. Like imagine if you had Corum there instead of Kraft. Like do you, that might have been a direction I might have gone in personally. I don't like two elite tight ends, but they're good ones. Kraft was amazing last year. Um Receiver though, heavy rookie investment. So this is a very bold, very risky team. It could work out. It's fun. But you got Lemon, you got Tyson, you got Pearsall at a value. Shaheed, Franklin, Lane, Cooper, and Bateman. I like the Bateman pick late, but so many rookies, so much risk. This team, I'm not going to lie, Kevin, scares me a little bit. Quite a bit. Um, Good luck. Otherwise, we had Doc in at the 105. He had at quarterback Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy, and Sam Darnold. So we'll look out for some stacks with Washington, San Francisco, and Seattle. But at running back, Derrick Henry and Javonte. Javonte is a big variable. I'm not convinced he returns to Dallas. And even if he does, he probably isn't as good again. But Connor's very interesting. I don't want to give up on Connor, but a bit old to feel like he's a lock. But interesting. Also have Kamara, so you like the old guys, paired with Katron Allen, a rookie. I like at least getting some youth in there. But then Rodriguez and Holani at the end. Holani's interesting. I don't know what to make of Holani yet. I feel like they could bring in someone else above him. But Charbonnet, obviously, going to miss a lot of time. And then receiver, you got JSN, Rashi Rice, Terry McLaurin, Metcalf, Denzel Boston, Yamanor and Flournoy. Receivers, great. Receivers, awesome on this team. Definitely really nice. And then tight end, your first one's Kittle. You also have AJ Barner and Njoku. I mean, if Kittle hits, then this is a great team. If that's going to happen, this is an awesome, awesome team. Running back, a little bit scary. Definitely some risky picks there. A lot of old guys. But if Henry just stays okay, then you can probably make it work. Good luck. I hope they stay healthy. That's my only concern. The aging running backs. And then some risk with Kittle. But lastly, we got Leggio at the 101 with B-Rob, Chase Brown, and Josh Jacobs. That's pretty nice. How'd you piece it together at receiver? You also have Emmett Johnson and Rashad White at running back, and then you stop with Malik Washington. So, yeah, this is a dope running back room. Very hard to beat this running back room. And then some good running back swings should be fun. At quarterback, you have Jalen Hurts, Cam Ward, and Shador. I'm a little bit worried about Jalen Hurts falling off even more, but definitely a very safe pick. And based on the room, I think definitely a required pick. I kind of like Jackson Dart over Hurts a little bit, to be honest. Like they're back to back basically, but I could see Dart outperform Jalen Hurts, but I totally understand this pick. Also Dart could like miss half the season and be terrible, so risky with Dart, but I do like him. At receiver, you have Flowers and Devontae Smith. Smith is stacked up. That's very nice. Michael Pittman. Addison is risky, but could have a great season. And then Debo, also risky, but could have a great season. I like Surratt at ADP, but I have seen him fall later. And then we got Judy and Trey Tucker. Not in love with those picks, but they are going to give you points, so those are fine. You also have Kate Otten, TJ Hawkinson, and Tyler Warren. Not a bad team. Love the running backs. Receivers a bit thin, but obviously that's just the price you have to pay for such an elite running back room. So some good teams. Awesome teams. I like mine a lot. I like some of y'all's as well. And that was a nice draft. I'm happy we hopped into that one. Sean likes the squad. Scott, you're welcome, my friend. Sean says, I don't think Thornton is under contract. Yeah, I believe he's a free agent, but I think he had such good chemistry, they probably bring him back because he's probably pretty cheap. And then Gonzo, I like Royals coming out, but I'm not high on the guys you were out in, just correlating pieces. I get it. Yeah, for the stack, it's worth a swing. But the Chiefs have not drafted receiver very well. throughout their history. Like, other than Rashi Rice and character concerns are definitely a problem with him. Like they've not actually hit on a lot of their draft picks at receiver. Like even Worthy is a bit of a bust. Not entirely, but not like an amazing pick. Like Sky Moore was terrible. That's a big example. Mecole Hardman wasn't like elite. He was fine, but not like really a great second round pick in hindsight. Royals, what was he, like a third round pick? I could see Royals being a bust, but could also break out in year two. So we'll see what happens, but that's it for me. I hope y'all enjoyed. We're going to say goodbye. I got some dinner I got to get to, and I will see y'all maybe not tomorrow, maybe Thursday. I got some stuff going on tomorrow. So we'll see about that. But I'll see you next time. Peace out. Goodbye. Wish y'all luck in all of your drafts. See you later. Bye-bye.